Alright guys, I'm coming at you with a new comic review. Another book sent to me by my friend Chris. Chris, thank you once again. Chris, as of this recording, another haul of books will be coming through. I don't know if I'll do like an unboxing, but it's like 10, 12 books, so maybe, maybe not, depends if I can get enough content out of it, but anyway. So, but regardless, thank you, brother. Anyway, let's get started with this review, and that is, of course, the third volume of Miles Morales' Spider-Man, a comic I'm really enjoying. It's just nice to have good Spider-Man content, you know? If only we could have it with Peter Parker, too. But the only one who seems to give a shit about Peter Parker is Greg Weisman with Spectacular Spider-Man. But, you know, what can you do? Anyway, this comic continues to be awesome, and as you can see, we're now in Gang War. This is the tie-in to the Spider-Man event called Gang War. And if you don't know what that one is, Gang War was basically Madame Mask lined up a bunch of dudes and was basically like, I'm gonna run a train on you. Wait, that's coming out wrong. Or is it? Anyway, okay, for real. Basically, Madame Mask and the Beetle unleash a gang war between all of, like, the super criminals in New York, and they're all vying for control, and Spider-Man leads a team of other heroes like Elektra, who's now Daredevil, She-Hulk, Miles, and a few other heroes here and there across the area, and just basically, like, it just had a bunch of tie-ins. Another tie-in I have that Chris sent me was the Luke Cage tie-in, which was written by Rodney Barnes, the creator of Killadelphia, and a lot of other cool stuff. The reason why, also, sidebar, I haven't read Killadelphia yet, I was going to, because it was, like, the Halloween season and it's vampires, but the reason why I didn't read it yet is because it's also politically charged, and I just don't have the energy to do that right now with, you know, what's coming soon. So that'll be a near future project to read, That's why I read Redneck's, the 2 volumes of Redneck instead of Killadelphia, but I was just like, I do not have that energy I do not have that in me right now. Getting back to this, so this is the Miles Morales tie-in to Gang War, and if you're wondering, no, I do not have any care to read the main of a Spider-Man Gang War event, because that book shit, and that event was shit on a whole. But it's nice to, but it did drag in a good Spider-Man title in with it. So let's see if Cody Ziglar actually came up with a good idea for this comic. Like, let's see if Cody Ziglar can actually salvage something with this book. Well, this does collect a few comics. This does collect the 4-issue tie-ins that were running in Miles Morales Spider-Man. But the other thing that it collects is Giant-Size Spider-Man, in which Miles Morales encounters the new Venom, Dylan Brock. And this is their first encounter with each other. It really just kind of builds up for Gang War, but really, it's just to showcase, hey, Dylan and Miles have never met, so will this be a major change, and could Dylan and Miles be, like, intrinsically tied to one another? Nah, because if you're keeping up with the Al Ewing events of Venom War, you know that after the end of Venom War, there'll be a totally new Venom that'll be taking over, and Eddie Brock will be Carnage. Yeah, figure that one out. But anyway, it's just more of showcasing, hey, we never had Dylan and Miles meet, so let's do it for possibly the only time. Yeah. So the main crux of this is that during Gang War, Hobgoblin has enlisted a new enemy of Miles named the Rabble to upgrade his tech so he can move in on Brooklyn. And he's not alone, because he's gotten together the Enforcers and, more importantly, the Prowler, Miles' uncle. On top of that, Miles has to deal with the Cape Killers. The Cape Killers, I haven't really talked about them, but the Cape Killers are a bunch of, like, villains who are trying to get parole. Kind of like a Suicide Squad, but they're more like deputized villains. And among them is the Scorpion. And Scorpion and Miles, after the event of a Carnage event, are now kind of like friends, almost. Even Gargan's like, I like you, kid. I actually do, and I do feel bad about beating the shit out of you. Really? Eh. That's what I've said before, that Miles is basically a anime show and a shonen anime protagonist, where like he uses the power of friendship to make friends with with other villains. I mean, here with villains. Sorry about that. But anyway, so with the siege of the siege of Brooklyn, Miles has to like get his own crew of heroes with him, and he does have to team up with the Cape Killers in order to do so. But among that, he also gets the help of Starling, his girlfriend Tiana, Vulture's granddaughter, and he also gets the help from Shift, his imperfect clone. And on top of that, the return of Miss Marvel, the newly resurrected Miss Marvel, now a mutant, and yeah, they all have to like unite in this hodgepodge alliance in order to stop Hobgoblin and the rabble from taking over Brooklyn. I gotta say, Cody Ziegler really knows how to write like multiple characters, but the thing of it is that I feel like he tries to do too much in 4 issues. I really do feel like he tries to do a little too much for 4 issues, because you've got the Enforcers, you've got him trying to tie in with Gang War, and on top of that you have him dealing with Aaron, the Prowler, who's now wearing like the classic Prowler costume that was given to him by Hobie Brown. I was like, oh yeah, Hobie Brown is still alive. I legit thought Hobie was dead. I honest to God thought Hobie Brown had died a while ago, and that's why we have Aaron as the Prowler. But no, that's not the case. Thankfully, Hobie is now the Hornet, a Spider-Man identity that Peter took on a while ago, and Aaron. They basically, they have him here, and it's cool to see Miles encounter his uncle, and they have a cool back and forth, but then they just kind of forget about him. Like, that's the thing, is that I feel like Ziegler tries to do too much with too little, with too little time. Bringing back, it's cool to see the Enforcers and all these other villains, that you haven't seen in a while. A lot of them were, Z-list Spider-Man villains, but, at the same time, it really does feel like Ziegler was trying to do too much. I mean, it was a while before Prowler just gets forgotten in the story. I'm like, hey, where did he go? I was reading the final battle with Hobgoblin and Rabble, and I'm just kind of sitting there going, where the fuck did Aaron go? I don't know where Prowler went. And it's kind of important because it's Miles' uncle who was trying to go on the straight and narrow, but whatever, I guess. There is, solid action in here, and again, Miles goes full anime show and protagonist and befriends the villains. The artwork is really cool. I love the just kinetic feel of the artwork. It's all bright and vibrant, and again, Ziegler knows how to write a fight scene. And I think Ziegler also looks like he's trying to set up Roderick Kingsley, the Hobgoblin, as Miles' Goblin. That's gonna be his big villain, outside of the Rabble. I know in the next volume, which I don't know is out or not, but the next story am aware that the next volume deals with the end of the Cape Killers and also dealing with the Rabble again. But it does kind of feel like Cody Ziegler in the background is building up Hobgoblin as Miles' Goblin. That's what it feels like to me. I could be wrong, but yeah, that's what I'm starting to really put together, which is kind of cool. I mean, on one hand, I'm like, yeah, I don't need every single Miles villain just to be other Spider-Man villains that Pete isn't fighting at the moment. At the same time, we've seen it before where other Marvel villains become major nemesis for other heroes. Sabretooth was once an Iron Fist villain, and now he's Wolverine's arch nemesis. There's also a few other instances of that. Blackheart started out as a Daredevil villain. Yeah, figure that out. Blackheart started out in the Daredevil villains gallery and then became Ghost Riders. So it could be the case that may be what is happening now. Is that Spider-Man, that Hobgoblin is going from being Peter's villain to Miles' villain. That could be what's going on, but we'll see. Anyway, I continue to really enjoy this, even though it was tying into a shitty event. But hey, Cody Ziegler worked with what he was given. Do I think he was a little rushed and also stuff was forgotten? Yeah, But I still think it's a pretty solid comic nonetheless. So I still enjoy it. I'm really rolling, and again, I'm really rolling with it, and it's just nice to have good Spider-Man content. Anyway, so you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of this story arc in Miles Morales Spider-Man? Do you guys like it, hate it, and also, do you guys think Hobgoblin is going to become Miles' Goblin? Just comment below, let me know. Chris, thank you once again for the comic and the other comics in general. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.